There's the way things seem, and then the way things are. And in most cases, there's a big difference, actually, a magnificent gulf in between them. Those who believe their thoughts are stuck in the way things seem, and they make their reality of it. It's really not just that, but we have so much freedom, you know. We can go along like that for endless ages, lifetimes, eons, if that's our choice. It could be said that Source vests a lot of trust in us to eventually find our own way. We are that underneath it all, but who knows how long until we discover that for ourselves. It doesn't do any good, really, to hear someone else say it. It helps. You know, you have to know something exists, kind of, to go after it. But then again, you don't, because your heart will just drive you there. And you don't know from nothing, but if you follow your heart, you'll be led. It's beginning to feel like an endurance run. It's been challenging again just to carry the body around. Now, admittedly, this body has its challenges, but you know what? I think we all do. It's just that our challenges look different, but we all have them. Nobody escapes. We've got another series of 100-degree plus temperatures following day after day after day with precious little rain. At least we've got some, though, and I'm really grateful for that. Otherwise, this area in Arkansas would be nothing more than a tinderbox. The drought has been tough, and I guess it goes on. I mean, you know, 107 every day, you know, yesterday, today, tomorrow, the next day. And that's up, you know, 41, something like that, maybe 42 in the centigrade range. The birds, when they land on the bird bath, it's really just a large clay saucer designed to go under a clay pot, you know, that I've suspended. They sit there with their little beaks open, as if they're a dog panting, you know. Now, they don't have a little tongue to hang out and drip and, you know, help with their cooling process that way, but it's the first time I've noticed that kind of behavior. And it seems to, you know, be a reflection of the heat here. This body is, I don't know why, but sensitive to extremes in temperature, whether heat or cold. It just doesn't function well. So, you know, even just the conditions of life, the most basic conditions of life, are challenging. And I spoke with the distance healer that I work with, a dear man, Ken Bental. He works out of Montana, but it doesn't matter where he is when he works with you. He's right there. And I think his main message this time was to back off, don't push. That I've been overdoing it with the light therapy, and instead of 2 and 3 treatments a day every other day, he said try 3 a week and one up, you know, one at a time. So I don't know, maybe it'll help somebody else too. I also work with the crystals. I love them dearly, and I have a whole dish of them where I've applied magnets with packing tape. One magnet per, mostly. Very small ones, very weak ones, nothing really powerful. You know, something to roughly equal or equalize the electrical potential of the crystals so that you get electromagnetic together. And I like to sit with those over the various chakras. It just feels good, especially what I'm used to calling the seat of the soul chakra, the second one up, and the solar plexus. There's just a good feeling that comes from it. But I'm known to sit here with crystals all over the place. I have a little hair clippy thing, and as you can see, you could put a crystal in there and put it, you know, get your crown taken care of that way. And he said back off of that too, to just lighten up. Things are going fast enough without us doing things to push it along, in other words. It's a bit of a slog right now, at least for me, and I discovered a while back that it's not personal. There's nothing personal to it. It's not that I'm bad or negative or have bad karma. All of that stuff is just BS. You know, we're all linked together. We're all going through this, and what I'm going through, I know others are in their own way as well. So, you know, for what it's worth, I'll share Ken's message. Back off and lighten up on yourself. Don't push so hard. So, there's what appears. And that's the discussion here, what appears. And there's what is. And there's a gulf between them. And I think it's possible that as long as we're in 3D, there's going to be that gulf. I don't know. I'd like to think, and I do think anything is possible, but that's not unbounded chaos. If anything was possible, I could rearrange one of the basic numbers that stabilizes our 3D matrix and have the whole thing collapse. So not quite anything the way the mind would like to think of it is possible. But let's not go believing what we see. Let's not go believing the surface appearance of things. But remember to take a few steps back and know that everything's okay. Everything's actually perfect in spite of how we feel, in spite of what seems. If you've ever really had a deep spiritual moment, I think you'll know that. You'll know it for yourself. And that's really good because then it can sustain you even when you're slogging along and you can't see any relief and you can't feel any relief and you know you can't find any relief in the mind. And yet, to have certain knowings, to have linked up with your own inner self will carry you through. Now, one thing I'm reminded of, and it was again by Brolly's work, which he came on to YouTube and now he's going off. He says he's taking a 6-month hiatus. Each one must walk their path as they see fit. I'm still going to recommend. He's got some beautiful videos that people could benefit from. He doesn't put a whole lot of tags on them. Maybe he will one day, but meanwhile, I'll send you over there. He talks about the divine union. He talks about St. John of the Cross. I'm a mystic from way back. Even in my teens, I've always had a mystical love, a sort of mystical union with Source. And, you know, being heart, mind hasn't a clue about this, but heart knows. Heart just knows. you've got knowings inside of you that if you just get out of your head, you could rely upon. You know, you could fall back into and get some relief. Anyway, when you're going toward the mystical union, which is supposed to be the union of the soul and spirit, it's a heavenly kind of mating, if you will. It's not sexual. It's not that, but you know, it is kind of sensual. It does involve your being. Forget it. There's no way to put words to it. I don't know how St. John of the Cross ever did it, but he did. I read and deeply studied his work because it seemed to have a parallel in my life. One of the things that takes you up to the divine union is the walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I won't say because, but we need to be stripped of, let go of the dross that we've garnered and gathered and accreted over the years, over the lifetimes, over the eons. Things we've believed in and made a sort of pseudo-reality out of that are just false at the heart of them. There just wasn't really anything but a kernel of our belief to keep it going. And as these things are being stripped, it hurts. It's a death. It's a death of, some will say, everything they believed in. You know, it's a death of the false self. And there's no getting around it. It's like a Saturn thing. You know, when you have a challenge where Saturn is involved in any way in your chart, there's no wiggle room. It's not, you can't fudge anything. And you can't get around it, you can't get away from it. It's a very demanding kind of a thing. It just is what it is. It's not mean or cruel. It's very firm. And it doesn't settle for any kind of nonsense at all. And so, you know, in a way, I can see how Saturn would be very much involved in the dark night of the soul, which is where you get to the point where you don't know who and what you are. Well, folks, most of us are there already. As soon as we get to thinking we know ourselves at all, we go to sleep and wake up and something else has changed. And I'm constantly discovering, as I go to journal, which, how many thousands and thousands of times have I done this? I mean, I've got stacks at least a foot tall of written journals, you know. And so it's nothing new under the sun. She goes to the journal, she starts to write. And yet what comes out surprises me. And I don't know how visible that is to others, you know. But it's really taught me, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, not to even begin to think that I know myself. I don't. And that's okay too. You know, it's got to be okay, whatever it is. If you've touched down in heart, everything's okay. And you have a way to navigate this. You can be stripped of literally everything and you'll still be fine because you're in the boat that is your heart. And it's going to carry you through whatever. It just doesn't matter. In a way, it reminds me of Jesus in that boat in the My Pet Goat 2 thing. Just the calm assurance, the burning fire, the light of the Christ, carrying you through. I hope you realize we're all having all the sludge and all the dross burned off, and what's under there is the Christ. It could even be said to be the second coming of Christ, for attaining higher consciousness where he was as he did. What else is that but celebrating the union of I am the vine and ye are the branches? Well, we're moving up into the vine, you know, finding new identity there. It's really good not to cling, not to hang on. Anything we cling to or hang on to is just going to be stripped from us. Why not just choose to let it all go? And that way, when the stripping action comes, you can reasonably cooperate. If we keep going back to heart and just keep anchoring there, even in the midst of I don't know and everything looks like it's gone to crap in a boat, you know, it doesn't matter. It has to not matter. At the core, everything's all right. We're having our biology adjusted. Everything's being adjusted. As I've said before, even the decay rate of certain atoms is changing, and that is deeply shocking to science, and there's not much public discussion of it yet. But some of this work has come out of the work there at CERN, the big atom smasher. That still bothers me, you know. Just like we're bothered when things eat other things in order to survive, at a certain point I want to ask, hey guys, did you ask the atoms permission to do that kind of stuff? Do you think maybe they're conscious? What do you think they think of that, you know? There's so much, it's like endless, the arrogance that has to be burned off as we awaken. Well, just trust that it will be. How much trust can you find in your own deep heart, your own inner self or source? That's the boat that you're going to ride through this. I haven't said anything live in a few days, and I hesitated to because I'm feeling that weight again, you know. I don't feel like I have anything light and cheerful to offer, but you know, light and cheerful right now might be too much of a contrast with where you are and what you're going through. So, you know, it is what it is. Let's not fight it. And the best way to not fight it is just to center in heart and to know it's okay. See you again soon. Namaste.